Welcome to Deep Night Revelation. We will be picking up where we left off 2 weeks ago. We took last week off for, real life reasons. And we are back this week. So, where we are picking up, what's happened? So, these guys have left the DTP system uh, and have moved on after finding some considerable I want to call them trinkets. I guess they are considerable artifacts. The first artifact that they found was a obviously non-functional and badly damaged ancient fusion reactor that was buried in. Everything's buried in the mud. This whole planet seems kind of like it's from a Monty Python skit. Um, it was buried in the mud, and it didn't catch fire and then sink into the mud. But it is mostly intact, but obviously after 300,000 years, it is in non-functional condition. And so that's something for the scientists to look at. And then the other thing that they found was, and nobody got their intellect check, but they found this thing, and this is what it looks like. And they found it in a trash droid ship that they found in a really big marsh that was also buried in mud. And so they spent 3 or 4 weeks getting first building scaffolding that they could drain out the water, and then clearing it out and digging around it, and they explored the interior when they found this thing. And the biggest part that they found was that the ship, which was about 200 D-tons, they discovered that the ship itself was about tech level 11, but this thing, which is thoroughly wired in to the ship, is about tech level 22. It is to the point where nobody knows what it does, what it is, or as far as they're concerned, the thing could be magic, but they don't even know how to turn it on. And even if they could find out how to turn it on, not knowing what it does, nobody knows that that's really a great idea. So the scientists, they were able to get the ship, which is not space worthy. They put lifters under it, and they created an elaborate towing scheme, and they towed it out off the surface, which I'm trying to imagine what that looks like, and in my brain, it doesn't go well. But they made the rules, so here we are. They got it back to the ship, and so it is sitting in a hangar bay in the mission pods, and there are scientists and top men going over it right now as we speak. There's probably a 225 D10 big wooden crate that they're going to put it in and stamp top secret across the side of it once they're done. But they don't know what this thing does, and so they're looking it over. And they have jumped to the next point in their long journey across the Great Rift, which theoretically they are getting close to the other side at this point. They have jumped into Deep Space Anomaly 3 system, and the things that they know about this are that from a distance, and of course they did these, their astronomics team did these checks, not astrological, they weren't telling your fortune. Astronomical teams were looking ahead, and this particular system, they were aware had some very peculiar gravitational effects, gravitational anomalies. And so they didn't really know what they were going to expect when they got here. Coming out of jump, they discovered that this is a brown dwarf system. There's these other bodies that are orbiting it, a small gas giant, large gas giant, and a high density terrestrial. And this high density terrestrial, the first thing that stands out about it is that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because uh, this terrestrial planet is about 13,500 kilometers in diameter, but only has a surface gravity of 0.55 Gs. The other thing that they've discovered about this,
So it's like hollow.
right? Well, yeah, it could either be hollow or they're just not finding. It's possible that this is like a collection of blown off planetary crust. There's just not a whole lot of the deep metals and ores that you would find um, deeper into a planet. So no, it's weird. And so the terrestrial is also in a highly elliptical orbit, and around 10% of its time, it actually goes out past this large gas giant. So it is really weird. Like it doesn't belong here. And in addition to that, the entire system, or not the entire system, one I guess that would be the spinward edge, say this side, is covered in a fairly dense nebula like cloud. And the refueling is good because you've got, of course, a small and a large gas giant here, um, or rather, two small gas giants and a large gas giant. So refueling is fine, but in order to continue on their journey, they have to uh, literally fly through this nebula cloud, and they can't really jump before they get to the other side because it's a dense cloud. There's a lot of schmutz in there, all floating around, and so jumping inside a dense nebula cloud is just begging you to misjump, and nobody will know where you end up, and you're out in the middle of the rift. So wherever you end up, the possibility that there's no place to refuel is extremely high, and so that's where we left off. Before we get started, we would like to bring attention to the fact that we do have a merch store via Zazzle. It helps us cover the minute costs such as Roll20 Pro and Incarnate Pro that you've seen us use for maps in the past, and most likely in the future. It also helps us cover the cost of Filmora, which is the software we use to make these videos. And we on that site we've got T-shirts and hoodies and buttons and drink glasses, or there's a whiskey rocks glass and a beer stein, and there's poster maps from Braunhaven. There's all sorts of stuff on that site. So if you want to help us make ends meet at the end of each month, go get yourself a T-shirt and a whiskey rocks glass, and we hope you enjoy it, and we thank you for everything that you do for us. All right, so um, so every so this was well, hold on. It's been a while, so here we go. So this is the immediate, obvious little dwarf system that you're in, and it becomes apparent quite clearly that this is not the primary. This dwarf system is actually orbiting something that seems to be at the center of this nebula. But seeing through the nebula is nigh impossible. Anybody who wants to can make a electronic sensors plus intellect or education check, and you get a, hold on, I think you get a +2 for that, I believe. Bring up
15, assuming it is a 2.
there is the stats for revelation, and it says for sensor, yes, advanced distributed arrays would be a +2. Damn, so all three of you made it. So, I will start with what Pappy discovers first. So, Pappy, you are looking at your sensors up on the bridge, and you see that this nebula seems to be highly agitated. Like most nebula, um, most nebula are surrounding a star, and it's usually from a some kind of explosive event, and they just kind of hang there until they dissipate. This nebula is different. This nebula is almost like the rapids of a river, and there are dust clouds and that are dust and gas that swirls around and eddies. Occasionally, it clumps into low density material or minerals, and then spreads out. And then there's waves. It's insane. And Mel, you're looking at the sensors and you determine that it's not just that the cloud itself is agitated, but there's junk in here. Like it's not just gas, but there is small particulate that is getting moved around, like gravel, even smaller than gravel, pebbles that is swirling around. Not like it's not like you're flying into a rock quarry, but I mean this dust is present, and some of it is coalesced into larger chunks, and then there is other stuff that you're seeing in there that looks like maybe planetoids or sections of planet that have blown off that are all swirling around in this quagmire. Will, you are discovering that there is. I mean, obviously, this is Will attenuates the sensors and is able to determine that this nebula is the source of the gravitational anomaly that you're finding in the system. It's very peculiar, and it is coming from whatever would be considered the center of this nebula. There's something in there, but what Will can determine is that if revelation is to go through, about 100 kilometers is the maximum range that you can really attenuate the sensors to and get a good solid clear view because of radiation and everything else in this cloud. So the sensors are wonky, and the captain immediately brings up that probably the best way would be to have a ship to like a scout ship to go out ahead of revelation and
break the
kind of double the range kind of thing.
That makes sense. Also kinds of clears all the particulate they're traveling through too a bit.
Right. And it's already clear that this is not going to be a quick you're not going to be moving at flank speed. This is carefully moving through.
How far do we have to travel to get to the gas giant to refuel?
So that's the good news. I mean, you can choose one of these gas. You're already in here, and I mean, within a couple of hours, you pick one, and within 8 hours, you can get to one of the smaller gas giants.
Okay, yeah.
Or really, if you want to speed your way along, probably the large gas giant would be the best choice because it's already at the outer edge of this dwarf system.
Right. It gets us farther away from the gravitational pull. Also, probably going to be easier to refuel off the larger gas giant, I would think.
Right. And so the obviously, this endeavor will require a pilot with balls of steel.
All right. Perfect.
Because they're going to be going ahead, and you don't know what you're going to find. I mean, but the good news is that the the scout ships, or at least your scout ship, Destinex,
I
has
got balls. Sometimes they're steel.
yes that's what I figured. But your scout ship specifically that you have named Destinex is fit as a fiddle and has been overhauled. So it's ready. I wouldn't. I I really wouldn't say that it's like it's just rolled off the showroom floor, but um, it is. Um, it's as new as it could be. It's engineering sound is the best that I can say. And so, which is, of course, all due to information that you found out flying in the regatta, which has led to um, a refit of all of your small craft. So, Destinex is ready to go. Um, oh yeah, so they have no problems refueling, which probably takes
Nice.
a couple of days at least. Probably about, I believe, probably about 3 days of scooping and coming in, going out, and blah blah blah. Um, how do you guys want to set up? Whoops, there I go, clicking the wrong button again. How do you guys? Who wants to ride? In who wants to ride with Pappy? I guess.
I do.
Oh,
I want to man sensors.
aren't we taking just the general crew along? I mean,
Well, this is the. I mean, this is quite literally the scout ship's bread and butter. You're scouting 100 kilometers ahead of Revelation and scanning 100 kilometers ahead. So you're basically doubling Revelation's scanner range and kind of trying to warn or I don't know eliminate some of the chunks that you can, and slowly leading Revelation through this nebula. Um,
I mean, I admit I don't know much about this game. I'm still working on the ship part of it. There's never been invented an icebreaker.
yeah, kind of. So the one thing that I will say, um, I get what you're saying, and you're right. Essentially, though, I mean, you got to figure that these ships are quite a bit. They're much tougher than any of our spacecraft are today. And I say that because I mean, if the space shuttle had bounced off of the moon, let's say it went to the moon, it would not be spaceworthy. That crew would not be coming home. That's just a reality. Um, so yet on the flip side, have you guys watched Foundation? If you haven't watched Foundation,
No, I need to. I just
did.
bought I just bought an iPhone, so I've got a free 3 months of Apple TV, and so I should just get on there and watch that and Succession and a few others.
yeah, dude, watch Foundation. It's so good. And I'm not spoiling anything. There is a scene where they crash the beggar, and I mean it hits the ground and turns sideways and slides through like 20 trees. And they don't ever show it flying again, but quite literally, if they wanted to spend some time patching it up, they'd be able to take off with it. It's not obliterated. So, and there was another scene where it bounced off of some shit. I mean, the ship is damn near indestructible, right? So, to your question of whether or not these ships are capable of being icebreakers, I don't necessarily know that you would classify um, like this ship, but there are ships designed for mining that could be thought of in a similar manner, kind of situation.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't sound like we're talking about smacking into series, but we're talking about pebbles.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're not gonna. I mean, even with a heavily armored ship, you're not going to want to go flying at full speed. And Revelation is probably a little bit tougher than your average exploration craft, considering that it is a refitted war cruiser. I mean, it was literally a ship of the line, and so it's probably much more capable than anything else. But at the same time, you don't know what's out there, so you don't want to go too fast because you might accidentally run into a planet because your sensors are only at 100 kilometers out. So, yeah, you don't want to be going fast. So I assume everybody's going with Pappy? Is that
Yeah, why not?
For sure.
okay? All right.
Yeah.
Y'all are my
I'm bringing Benji, of course.
Benji?
My monkey.
Oh, yes, your monkey. And are you bringing Stimpy, or are you leaving Stimpy to watch the microwave while the clone cooks?
Yeah, I'll definitely have Stimpy watching the microwave. I'm really excited about my creations and being a dad.
that's just weird. I'm excited. I'm cloning something. I'm excited about being a dad. Like that's fucked up. Oh
Yeah.
my. So sorry, I'm resizing you guys to match. Kind of. So okay. So Pappy, go ahead and make a piloting plus dex check. Piloting StarCraft plus dex. No. 9. Okay.
that's
All right. So you so I need here we go. Spacecraft range bands. So you are going to be essentially scanning. You're limited to short range, like really short range. The top end of short range is 1,250 kilometers, and you're only looking at 100. So you are at the lower end of short. But Pappy, you launch perfectly from Revelation and make your way out 100 kilometers ahead of Revelation, and Revelation falls in line right behind you, 100 kilometers behind you, ready to follow you in. I can. Well, not really much need. So, everybody roll initiative so we can. We're gonna do this at. Essentially, we're gonna use dogfighting rolls.
Do you want to drop our tokens on the map so that we can.
Oh, did I not? I didn't move you guys. Yes. Sorry. There I was.
That's okay.
Setting
Oh,
this
okay.
up and,
Well,
and I didn't.
yeah, roll 20 is funky the way it does initiative. I haven't made it, and oh, and I may be able to just. No, it still doesn't do it unless you've got your token targeted.
I'm not sure I see my token. Oh, there it is.
Oof.
All right, that 3.
Oh man.
Don't worry, guys. I'm just the sensors guy. It won't matter that I go last.
Exactly.
All right, so Pappy, you, like I said, the idea of this is that you are kind of leading the way. Sensors are attenuated to 100 kilometers, and when you get into this like bluish white cloudy soup, um, you know, visually. Looking out the window, I mean, it's space. So, I mean, looking out the window, there's nothing for you to really judge distance on visually other than what sensors. So, what you can do, I will say, is that you can choose to take your time, which will grant you an additional +2 on any piloting checks that you make. But the first question is, I will pull up. Here. Here is the stats for your ship. Sorry, that's so small. I need to make a bigger version. So this is stats for the Deepnight Scout. It has up to thrust 4. You can choose how fast you want to go. Now, I mean, however fast you want to go, I believe Deepnight can match it.
I mean, you already said full speed ahead, not the smartest idea, so let's
Right.
not do
Right. Let me.
Yeah, we're driving in fog here.
Right. Deep Night Revelation also has thrust 4. So whatever you decide to choose, she can match you.
feel like maybe thrust 2 is a good one. It's not 4, and we're not adding to it. We're just, a nice, good pace.
Okay. So and that also leaves you with 2 thrust points for evasive maneuvers. Should you need them, which is good for reactions. So go ahead and
Don't ask me why. I feel like we're gonna need them.
likely, very possible. So go ahead and make a piloting StarCraft plus Dex check to enter the nebula. Oh,
And that was with the +2, right?
Shit. Yes.
Everybody's got patch kits ready to go.
Yes. Right. So. Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, I will. I will tell you.
Well,
what
we're
that-
all. If we know that we're going in a cloud, I think everybody will at least be in vac suits.
That's probably a good idea. I mean, let's do this like they would in The Expanse. Let's everybody
Yeah.
put on a vac suit and dump the Atmo inside the ship so we don't have explosive decompression.
And we take our time to go through and put everything up. Strap it down, put it in a drawer.
Don't leave any coffee cups laying out.
Yeah.
Okay, so you took some time to secure things. Mel, you see, so the ship is he sets it for 2. about halfway mark on the throttle, and as you enter into this nebula cloud, you can hear the particulate like scraping and bouncing off the hull. It's like you're flying into a milkshake, like a one of the made with Ovaltine. And so it's just you know, it's chunky. What would and you see that he's having a bit of a hard time. As soon as you enter the cloud, the ship kind of shimmies and shakes. And what would you like to do?
First of all, I'd like to hit my mic button
Yeah, that helps.
rather than start talking without it. I'm open to suggestions because I don't really know what I can add here.
Well, you could.
Do we have windshield wipers?
Probably. You could make a piloting check to assist Pappy in regaining control.
Anything to do with the power or drive that could help him out?
That's a good question. Let's find out. There it is. First question.
You know, I'm not playing Star Trek, but I've heard power to shields.
Yes. There is actually a gunner screen skill, but that's only for much larger vessels that have screens. Let's see here. This would be power hasn't gone out. Drives aren't having a problem. You could make an electronic sensors check, which I would say would grant Pappy a reaction roll because he failed his piloting check. So, yeah, I would say that you could make an electronic sensors check to alert him of incoming debris.
Okay, so I would just make an electronics. I don't have the subspecialty of sensors.
Okay, so electronics at 0 plus education would be your best bet, and just looking for an average 8 plus.
Apparently not.
Oh shit. Okay.
Nope, can't see shit. Don't know what's happening.
Yeah, so you're looking at the sensors, and first of all, with the sensors are attenuated down to 100 kilometers, and there's just a bunch of crap that is showing up on the sensors, and then mixed in with that is the static from the radiation of this nebula. So you're squinting your eyes trying to see, ahead. Josephus, what are you doing?
I'm
Holding onto your seat, handing out toilet paper.
well, no. I'm gonna wait, but I'm kind of just leaning forward and looking at the screen, and if anything seems to be, if it looks like we're gonna start running into something, I want to use my clairvoyant sense power.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of watching, and if anything all of a sudden wants to hit it, I want to sense it. This would be page 231, Traveler Core Rulebook updated box.
So let's see here.
Now, it says its reach is very distant, right?
So you're using the clairvoyance skill, or
yes,
right.
Clairvoyance, and then the sense ability, and it gives me it says I can sense things at very distant. But if I spend, if I double the side points, I can go continental, and if I double it again, I can go planetary. So I
So,
should be able to sense things 50,000 kilometers.
well, very distant is
And from,
is between 6 and 500 kilometers. So that's 300 kilometers beyond the sensors. So yeah, you could theoretically do that, but I'm let me double check here. Right, traveler. So I mean, yeah, if you wanted to view up to, I mean, if you want to spend the points to view up to 5,000 kilometers out, you could. I would
well,
allow.
actually, I'm wanting to double it twice to go planetary and hit that 50K.
Okay.
Because I could double the cost and keep doubling it until I max out. I mean, I guess in theory I could double again and go even higher, but it's only a cost of one side point. So if I double it to 2 and then double it again to 4, I have a planetary reach
Okay.
with
So
my sense.
Which you have to double it that many times when you're only moving forward, right? That's a radius.
So at 50,000, yeah, at 50,000 kilometers, that on a spacecraft range scale, that gives you very long range.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and make your roll. If you want to spend the side points, I'll allow you to make the roll.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's look at. I get +2 plus clairvoyance 1 plus 3.
Okay. I forgot you
Here
had
we
this
go.
ability. Yeah.
Yeah, so an 8, but that makes it with an effect of 2.
Yes, it does.
So, and then here is I'm doing this for 1d times 10.
Oh, so you're doing
seconds.
you're doing the sense skill.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
trying to sense, and then based on my effect, I sense the most interesting thing.
Gotcha.
Kind of how it reads to me in simplicity. And for the next 40 seconds, I will be sensing shit
So
and spending 4 side points to make you tell us things.
okay.
But at least it's something somewhat successful to guide us into this catastrophe of piloting and centering.
What are you trying to say about my piloting?
Nothing. I said it in my head. You can't read that.
So you reach out with clairvoyance up to 50,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
50,000 clicks.
As an achievement goes across my character sheet for using the clairvoyant skill for the first time.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
And so it says, I'm aware of the most rudimentary characteristics of a location, such as a room containing 4 dogs or an open plain with a tree and no animals or men present.
Yeah.
So the first thing that immediately pops up is that yes, there is a sizable chunk of planetoid, a mix of planetary crust and ice that is moving towards you. And when I say considerable size, probably the size of, say, a baseball field.
I will scream out in panic and tell everybody that it's coming right for us. The planet is coming.
The planet is coming.
Yeah. And then I will make a signal to my monkey. The fuck was his name? Starts with a B. Benji. Yeah. We'll start throwing toilet paper wads at crew members amongst the bridge.
Okay.
To let them know that, yeah. I said the planet coming. It's fucking coming.
Okay.
Ah!
So now that hold on, I need to open another book because there is something else that you sense, but we will get to that in but a moment.
A dark armless force. I'm about to become like the super dark nemesis of the universe. Hell yeah. I will feast off souls.
Yeah.
Said
Well, first of
lawyers,
all,
guns, and money,
so
the shit hit the fan.
Bocephus yells out suddenly that look out, it's coming right for us. And Benji the monkey starts throwing toilet paper wads at everybody. Pappy and Mel, if you would like, you can use a reaction in order to make another piloting check. And so Pappy, you get to do it first. Mel, you can assist. So you can make this a task chain. Basically, it would be another piloting StarCraft plus Dex check, but you would have to use one of those two, or you could use both of them. The spare thrust points for maneuvers.
Do I get the +2 again?
No, because this is a reaction. This is a oh shit moment. So you're not going to be taking your time. You're like swerving not to hit the squirrel in the middle of the road. Oh well, okay then.
I do not help at all.
Well, you don't. Wow, you do not help at all. Okay. So
Oh shit!
Mel's trying to help, but Pappy swings and makes a burn and dodges this large chunk of ice that comes by. Bocephus, you, in addition, reaching out that far, the hair on the back of your neck stands up. And you've envisioned, let me find it, I can show you exactly, I think. You see this. And
There's
let's see, your
40 seconds.
Yep, 40 seconds. And so you see that at like 50,000 clicks out. Like at the very edge of where you're sensing.
Yeah, man. There are other people out there. Danger Will Robinson.
And like I said, you get this, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and the reason is you see this vision at the extreme range of 50,000 clicks, but your feeling is like they're there, but they're not there. Like they're like ghosts.
So what we need to do is we need to trick them into entering the portal that'll take them to the Imperial City.
Or mount or get plasma guns and mount them like proton packs.
Yeah.
Sorta.
That's a Saturday game thing. Brian
Right,
got
yes.
the joke.
Yes,
And that was it.
Send
Yeah.
send them to the Imperial Port.
Understood the joke. I understood the joke. Yes, I was like, wait a second.
The poor people that live in the Imperial Port. I mean, you've unleashed like a banshee and
a revenant
and a couple of zombies.
Yeah, we got a necromancer that sometimes controls undead, but when they lose control, it goes back to whatever. So we send it to this city that we were in that was full of pirates.
Sarda,
So
what are
that's
you
fun
doing?
stuff.
I thought I was going to be using the sensors to look for a safer route for us to take.
Sure.
I just am
Good
very
idea.
slow at that.
Yeah, you get a +2.
Yeah, there's a presence out here that makes
There's
the
a
hairs
15.
of yeah. Hell
Okay.
yeah, Sarda.
So Sarda, let's see. That Yes. So Sarda looks out ahead, 100 kilometers, and you are able to plot a much better course, granting a +3 on Pappy's next piloting check. Pappy. So you used a reaction, so you are at -1. So you get a +2 to your piloting plus piloting plus dex check +2.
Piloting plus dex plus
That is
3
right, right?
minus 1 plus 2. Yes.
Let's see. A 5. Oh, a 1 to 5 would be a plus. Wait. No, yeah, plus. Yeah. No, it was right. Never mind. +2. Yeah. So using this new course data, you are able to weave the ship in and out. It's still a creepy sound of all this crap bouncing off the hull, and you kind of narrowly skate along the underside of a chunk of ice as it comes by, but things are going much smoother. Mel, what are you doing?
Gonna see if I can assist Josephus. Or Pappy, I mean.
Oh, you could try maybe to send a probe drone to that big chunk of ice to send out a beacon to warn the deep night revelation that's following us, so they don't run into it.
That's not a bad idea.
The remote operation.
Yeah,
Huh?
it would be electronics remote ops plus dex to launch a drone. I think. Is that right? The skills.
If you have any kind of electronic skill, you'd at least have 0 in that.
It says remote ops. Yep, dex. So yeah, electronics remote ops plus dex.
Plus Dex?
Yes.
That's not good for me.
That's not going to work for me.
If you have education, I'm all down.
I hear you. I was just trying to say something that, one of us needs to do.
And it says.
That might be
what?
enough.
You know what? 6 gets it. It says it's a routine 6+.
Yeah.
Probably because the drones are partially robotic and
Idiot proof.
I wouldn't say idiot proof, but yeah. So you are so Mel pops a drone from from the scout. Just double check you have.
Probe drones, I think, is the.
Yeah, 2 tons of probe drones. Shit, how many drones are in a ton? That sounds like a lot. Or it must be a lot. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up. But anyways, so you launch a probe drone and pop it right onto this chunk of ice, and it immediately starts sending out a beacon and data warning Deepnight behind you. Good idea. Josephus, what would you like to do?
Well, there's an entity of some kind of presence or something out there.
So you've told everybody else that there's somebody else out here.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you could keep it to yourself, but
no, I'm telling you, I'm sensing a spiritual presence out there.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like
man, I don't mess with ghosts, man. Nah. We don't mess with ghosts around here. We don't mess with ghosts.
Well, the problem is I don't know which direction they are, and so they could already be here. So that's comforting, I hope.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, that 50,000 kilometers. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
You reached out in front of you, so you know that there's somewhere up ahead.
I understand that, but I was trying not to make Pappy go the other way.
Yeah, Pappy hang a
And
Yui.
so yeah, so if he don't know what direction, he's fine. God. And you say that they're 50K out?
Yeah, like they were at the very edge of the very edge of your sense.
Can I put like a waypoint there in hopes that Pappy will take us in that direction?
Like you mean using sensors?
Player me is very mad at you. Character me is just doing what he's supposed to do.
Well, I mean, like in almost every kind of game there is, you can look at the map and put a little dot
Right.
there. And
So you're talking about
shows
using.
up on,
Yeah, go ahead and make a electronic sensors plus intellect or education. Oh yeah.
that'll be a 12.
Yeah. So you drop a way marker.
Yeah.
There's way out in this soup.
Yeah.
I guess what 49,900 kilometers out. There is this marker out in the blue whitish area of this nebula. Are you telling Pappy what this is, or are you just putting it on the sensors and saying fly to that?
I'm telling Pappy that I'm not really giving a lot of information. I'm just like, hey, if you don't mind, could you kind of take us in this direction, Pappy? I think this is the way to go. Because I don't want to lie to my crewmates. That's dirty.
Okay.
You could try to do leadership to give them bonuses.
That's true.
Because I think you have leadership, right?
I do have some leadership.
Yeah, because I believe that gives them boons on their roll.
I think it's up to pluses now, but
yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not that skilled enough that I'm afraid if I fuck it up, it'll make us have bad rolls.
That's true.
But it's kind of what I'm.
Yeah, because it would be a.
Well, I'm gonna use my turn to put that way marker up on the shit, and then I will, if I can, I'll send a radio back to Deepnight talking about the big chunk of thing that we put a probe drone on. Look out for that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the probe is pinging. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
I mean, it's up to you, Brian, on whether you really want to go to the big highlighted golden area that has stars and sparklies on it, on the map, or if you want to go another way.
I guess my question would be, we're going into this to try to get to something, or we're just trying to get through it?
We're trying to get through it.
Oh, so we're not trying
so
to get
we
to a
can
certain...
jump. No, we're exploring through it. But, I did sense the planet chunk. So, that gives me some street cred. But then, I went on a tangent talking about, oh, fuck, they're out there. And then I said, hey, let's go over here. I think this is the way to go. Yeah.
I will then just ask the question of the way to go, as in towards the thing or away from the thing.
That is the question, but I think if it was the remnants or something, it might be a derelict spacecraft where people once were.
What's Sarda doing?
Telling me it's a derelict spacecraft? Are you telling?
I'm going to keep manning the sensors. I think it seems to be. It's what I'm best at, and it seems like it's a really
Okay.
necessary for what we're doing.
I'm totally guessing on a derelict spacecraft, but I sensed something over there, and it warrants checking out.
That's actually a 12. I didn't add the 2 on that
Okay.
roll.
So you reach out with sensors, and at 100 kilometers, you are continuing to show a clear path through, but with a 12, it is high enough that you pick up the telltale radiation spike that shows a ship. Usually, when you see this kind of spike, it is a ship that is emerging from jump. But hold on. But I have a special name for this. Make a recon plus intellect check.
Sure. Recon. Oh, I rolled good on that.
Nice. So, looking at the sensor data that comes in immediately off the top of your head, yes, this looks like a jump emergence, but something is completely wrong with the data that you're getting. And it's hard to tell if the data that you're getting is corrupted due to the nebula's own radiation, or if there is a possibility of what they call field collapse resonance, which leads to a situation called jump bounce. So, in most cases, a few people might suffer from what they call like a pre-emergence phase. So some people, when a ship comes out of jump, may get headaches, nosebleeds, nausea. Very small proportion. Bocephus has seen this before. There's more than a couple of crew members out of the 500 on Revelation that experience this every jump. I mean, which would have to suck. But it's usually a rapid fading situation. What you're seeing is it looks like what happens if a jump field does not collapse cleanly. And it is an uneven collapse that usually is the result of a badly maintained or poorly calibrated jump drive. And this kind of situation can actually increase those effects on people. And theoretically, it says that if a perfectly tuned drive should result in an emergence that has absolutely no unpleasant effects, that's almost never. That's a theory, but is almost never the case. In this situation, the the readings that you're getting, it looks like the parts of the collapsing jump field reinforce or nullify one another in such a way that the emergence is particularly unpleasant. In extreme cases, which is what you're seeing as far as this emergence goes, minor damage could occur. And that's what is known as jump bounce. Basically, you come out of jump and one part of the field collapses, the other part may dissipate slowly or expand for some reason. And like in an extreme case, a section of the ship could be sheared off and left in jump space, or who knows? This is usually when you would see these kinds of readings on sensors, that ship's not going to be intact. So that's what you pick up. And the thing about jump emergence is that that ripple effect because literally you're tearing a new asshole into space time. It ripples out quickly at the speed of light throughout a system. So, fairly quickly you can determine at 50,000 kilometers, you're going to determine fairly quickly that a ship has emerged from jump, and that's what you're seeing. But it's all wonky. You guys, so this goes on for about 36 hours. Just narrowly missing and plotting a course, and you finally do reach the center of this nebula.
And the ship remnants or whatever, we didn't.
You haven't found that yet.
Okay.
But you do reach the center of this nebula, and like I said, you're going at a slow, a careful crawl. So you haven't quite gotten to where this jump has come out, and it from what your the dot that you put on the sensors, it is just beyond what you have now realized would be the central portion of this nebula. And this is what you come in to find for the central portion of the nebula. And so, as I said, most nebula are an expanding area of gas that are around a star. That is not the case here. What you are seeing is that these are actually two large planetary, exceptionally dense planetary bodies that are orbiting one another at an extremely high rate. Sarda, you can go ahead and make another electronics sensors plus intellect or education check, and you get a +2.
Nice. 13.
So what you are picking up is that each of these worlds are so dense that they have a surface gravity of 15 Gs each.
Holy crap.
And they are orbiting one another at an extreme close, and like you're talking about maybe half the distance between here and the moon. And these two entire planets are just orbiting one another exceptionally fast, spinning almost like a quasar. And there is further out, there is another terrestrial body that is also a high density, but it's orbiting these two, and it only has a gravity of around 5 Gs, which is still way too uncomfortably high. But this is what that brown dwarf system is orbiting.
Got it.
You get a radio, or a radio. You get a comm from Deepnight, and the captain comes on and says, "Dusnex, this is actual. One of the scientists wants to make a proposition for you guys since you're already out there." The scientists, there is a unique opportunity here, is the way the scientist puts it. Obviously, this is some kind of astrographical oddity. This is weird. Nobody's seen something like this before. And what he proposes, if you are willing to do it, is to fly. So, how does he put this? He says to navigate your ship. This is quite specific.
There's going to be planets full of nibblers.
Yes.
That's the gravitational issue.
So
It's their poop.
what he proposes is to do an experiment, and it is to pass as close as possible to one of the 15G planets at high speed, and use your sensors in an attempt to measure the gravitational effects on instruments and equipment on board your ship. While the speed attained will not be sufficient to produce any kind of significant time dilation effects, the combination of a high gravity field and high thrust potentially could, and it would afford a slingshot orbit that would be sufficient for the experiment's purposes. And he says that part of the experiment is to run calculations on machines that are at rest on Deepnight Revelation, while those same experiments are being run on your ship, and then seeing what the discrepancy is between the two, seeing what time dilation does to your sensors and to your readings. And, your ship has been completely refit, so it's in the best condition to be doing something like this. And the reason for doing this is that they already know that Terminus Point, even before they left, they could tell looking at through long-range telemetry all the way to the end of the galaxy where Terminus Point is, where you're heading, is some kind of gravitational anomaly, and he wants to run these experiments to further understand what kind of situation they could be getting into once you reach Terminus Point. And he wants to know if you would be willing to do this experiment.
Well, I don't want to speak for our pilot, but I have a whole bag of diseased dicks for whoever suggested
that. Yeah, I don't know. How do you guys feel about doing this experiment?
Simply put, I would not do it without all of us being on the same page, because I'm not going to put their lives in danger just because I think it'll be fun.
I'm all for it, because if it's coming, I mean, if the thing we're going to deal with a bunch of gravity shit, the last time we barely were able to handle our business. So I mean, I don't know it, but on the other hand, a bunch of stress and shit on the machine and all that, it just doesn't seem like a good idea to be fucking around while you're going on a long-term shit. I mean, you don't power brake in the middle of a 5,000-mile road trip. You know what I mean? You fucking, you don't do stupid. Well, I mean, you could, I guess, but you're not really going to make it to your destination fucking around. So I don't know. I could vote either way.
Maybe a real live 3-body problem here.
I think we should be going, is what I think. Really, I think we should be trying to get the fuck out of here and going on to the next location.
I mean, are we close enough? I mean, how close do we have to get?
I mean, if you wanted to do this experiment, literally where you guys are at, all Pappy has to do is floor it for 4 thrust points and bring it into a close orbit of one of these bodies and slingshot around, and essentially the rest of you make electronic sensors checks and potentially or have two of you pilot.
So that's like an astrogation check to map a safe path, sounds like?
Yep. Somebody would need to do an astrogation checks. Somebody would need to be doing electronic sensors. And then 1 or 2 of you would be wanting to do piloting checks.
Aren't we supposed to be going slow because of all the shit that's flying around?
Yeah, well,
I can do the astrogation because I've got 2 points in it. And
you got that education.
Oh, yeah, plus education.
You're by far the best aggregator.
Yeah. This whole concept of time manipulation reminds me of a joke. The past, the present, and the future all went in a bar. It was pretty tense.
Ba-dum-dum.
Yeah, sure did. I dropped it, but I mean, it was a fucking story appropriate joke, so it's not like I was talking about dildos or nothing. I mean,
All right, so is it? I mean, if you want to make an astrogation check, you can.
If everybody's on board, I'll do it.
Astrogation plus whoever wants to make that plus oh, shit. Yeah.
looks
Okay.
like we're fucking doing it, man. Sarda didn't say no, so it's his fault. We're all
that's-
blaming Will.
That's a plus.
No.
That's a +3 to Pappy's piloting plus dex check. So
And I suggested we'll need the astrogation. Let's do it right.
Yeah.
all right, so
Here's a-
Pappy, you get a +3 to your piloting plus dex.
Sensors or
Hold on to your butts.
Okay. When we do this, do you
Nice.
want us to make them kind of wobble and make weird noises like they're talking, like wah bah 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 bah?
All right, Sarda, you can go ahead and make your.
Ah!
I got a 17 on my
17.
sensor check.
And Pappy just got.
Guide again.
God, just got his piloting check.
That's the second
It
snake
means
eyes
it's
from
literally
you.
a No fail situation because I rolled once.
That's pretty good.
So yeah, I mean, by the skin of your teeth, Bocephus during the while Sarda's running his scans, what are you doing?
Man, I'm wanting to see if I can find that presence that I sensed before.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing. I'm sitting there just not saying much. I don't know how
Yeah,
best go about it.
36 hours have passed. How fast do you?
After it's either 3 or 4 hours of not
Recovering
using
psi-
psionic.
Yeah,
then I
1
get
point per
one
hour. So
forever.
you're at full power. So yeah, you can go ahead and make another sense. I mean, what do you want to do? I guess you could do another sense check, but that's clairvoyance. That's going to allow you to see.
Yeah. I think what I need to do first is because we've been up so long, I need to give stems around the board.
That's a good idea. I was just going to say, you guys might want to crush up some stim pills and get out the straw.
So that's I guess that's what I'm doing this round is I'm going around and injecting everybody with stems.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you stim everybody, and
I'm gonna give Pappy the adrenalizer.
I have to.
That's on page 92 CSC update. It basically gives him 36 hours of alertness.
He's gonna be up for like 4 days because he's already been up for 36 hours. And so yeah, okay.
Sounds
Yeah.
fun to me.
Yeah, and at the end he's got 2D times
10
5
hours.
minutes. 2D times 5 minutes to find someplace to lay down because he will just fall asleep. Okay, so you hit him with an adrenalizer.
Yeah, I'll go up to him and I'll give him a shot and I'll go, this will help you sleep in 36 hours.
In 36 hours, yes. Yeah, so Pappy's eyeballs are vibrating. Everybody else who's taking stims takes 1 point of damage, so 1 off of your endurance.
It's a small price to pay for the not sleeping.
Yeah, you know. And then how long does that last? Stims.
How much was the damage? It was 1 point off of what?
1 point off of endurance. And it says
They remove fatigue.
I guess. I mean, if it removes fatigue, I guess you can be up for another 8 hours before you need to sleep or get more stems.
It
I
says, yeah,
found
you
it's
can.
I found
You
it's
can
better to not argue if Steve starts giving you an injection. You just take
Yes,
you're gonna take it one way or another.
It-
Might as well just
it's better to take the injection than it is for him to do a blood draw.
It's true.
You don't know what's going to come out of that. This isn't Game of Thrones, Morty. um, so, so, so
Why
you,
can't I find hit points or damage on this thing? I took endurance damage.
yeah, it just comes off of endurance. There's no hit points.
Okay.
Yeah. It starts
You'll
with,
get it back at a sleep.
yeah, damage comes off of endurance first, and then if endurance is dropped to 0, then you have the choice of either applying additional damage to either strength or dexterity. Your choice.
I did write a paper once that incorporated the use of a combat drug, and then you would wait for it to kick in, and then you would get like some damage resistance, and it would stop this endurance loss. But it ended up making people's hands wiggle when they walk.
Yes.
So I haven't thoroughly got that figured out yet.
It's a cocktail. You just have to find the right mix.
Yeah.
So Pappy slams the throttle forward, and you guys go into this like hair-raising orbit, like really, like almost scraping. I mean, assuming I don't even know that these planets would have an atmosphere, but if it did, I mean, you're scraping it. It's very close, and he follows Mel's astrogation, and as you are making this this slingshot around, the data that's coming in initially, sort of, you're not seeing that there's any, you're not seeing that this time dilation effect really has any effect on the calculations that you're doing. You're not seeing it in the now. In real time, everything 2 plus 2 is still equaling 4. When you look around the bridge, everything seems to be in like a feverish slow motion. Like you turn your head and then there's a blur and your vision then comes into focus to where you're now looking. Everything is very blurry. There's like a rainbow kind of blur coming off of the consoles, and off when you look over at Pappy, there's a blur behind him. And you come out off of the other side of this slingshot, and Pappy starts to decelerate. And in the distance, you see a telltale jump flash, and a ship comes into view.
Sweet.
And
it's Deepnight Revelation.
that would, you know what? That would have been a better one. Try to pull the whole Lost in Space thing. Like, oh my god!
And it explodes.
Yes, it's Deepnight Revelation from the future. Oh, fuck, I like your story better. Oh, now I'm gonna have to write that up. Anyways, no, this is what this ship looks like, and it. I have stats for it. How big is it? This thing's huge. It's just a little bit smaller than Revelation. This thing is like 50,000 tons. And you can see that there is obvious damage to this ship. And Sarda, you're immediately seeing this damage that you're seeing to the exterior hull of this ship. There are portions of the hull missing. You're not sure. You're not familiar. You've never seen a ship like this, so you're not familiar with its layout. so you don't know what's missing, but there's clear signs and that there's parts missing, and it's not like something exploded. It's like something was there and sheared off and is no longer there. So there's like a perfect cut. I wouldn't. Cut's not even the right word. It's perfectly smoothly sheared off, and you can see structural members and whatnot, but they're just perfectly smooth. Like it almost like it was designed that way. But it's obvious to you that this is you're able to see that there is a hole where something was there. Which confirms your oh, I'm sorry. No. These pods on this sides, those are 50,000 tons. The whole ship entirety is 150,000 tons. So this thing dwarfs Revelation.
We definitely need to harvest it for material.
And you're immediately picking up a repeating signal coming from the ship. Sarda, you can make a electronic sensors plus intellect or education check, and does somebody want to make a electronics comms plus intellect or education?
I can do that.
Hell yeah, Mel, with your educational ass.
So with your sensors check, you are seeing that the jump field on this ship is still partially active. Like the jump grid is still partially energized. Like the ship looks like it hasn't completely left jump. And I mean, there's still like the telltale smoke and vaporized hydrogen coming off of it, but it's like it hasn't completely exited jump space, but it's here right now in real space. And Mel, on your comms, this repeating signal that is coming up with a 10. It is a repeating signal that you're postulating or postulating. No, that's not a word. You are theorizing that this is a signal GK, otherwise known as in Soleimani terms as an SOS. This is a distress call, and the only thing that you're able to get out of this, the very strange part of it is that some of the language that is used in this repeating signal seems very similar to Anglic, and it looks like the name of the ship is called Far Colony Postulant.
We've got to go board that ship and assimilate.
It's another ancient ship.
You're not sure. But the language is very similar to your own.
Now Pappy's curious.
I mean, have we completed our flyby maneuver?
You
We're
have.
not just rocketing past this thing.
You have.
We need to go board this thing.
I assume you mean salvage.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's in good condition.
Right, but I mean,
like it is.
we need to go make sure that there's nobody alive on it. I mean, there's certain things that, I mean, it doesn't matter where you communicate or not. You go up to a ship that's in trouble out on the ocean and you make sure nobody needs your help. and you know we've got to do that at the very least, you know, and if they have things that we could use, you know, perhaps we could borrow them for an extended period of time.
Your other character would play this way.
Yeah.
Everybody can make a. Everybody can make an engineering plus intellect check.
All right.
Any particular engineering? Because
Nope.
it's a group. It's a group skill, so it'll always be 0.
Right. Yeah. Just 0.
So it's an int check, really. Okay.
Yeah. Really, it is. Pappy got it.
Did?
Yeah. So, Pappy, looking at this behemoth that is sitting out here, and looking at some of the technology that you're seeing just attached to the hull, you're estimating that this ship is about a tech level 9. You're also guessing, just from the way that the jump grid is laid out on the hull, that it's probably only a jump 1 vessel.
Gotcha.
Um, these pods, there's 3 of them, and this thing's kind of rolling. These look like they are probably agropods. These are like agrodomes, like they're growing.
Is this thing lit up like it's got lights and shit on inside it and through windows or whatever? You know what I mean? Or is it like dark and desolate and just kind of there?
Some portions of the ship you can see that there are some lights coming from windows. Most of the ship seems dark.
I think we should definitely go check out the places that seem to have power and see what's there. I mean, that might be our key back to the present. We might have to go back to the future.
Great.
Are you going to? So I guess the question is,
Can we hail it?
You could.
I mean, before we land on it, maybe we can actually see if there's any response.
Fucking Mel's the fucking Allura in this situation.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
All right.
Who wants to pick up the mic and call him?
Yeah. Bust that freestyle out of Mel.
Oh, that's the best I could do with fucking +5. God damn.
Well, I mean, there's no kind of. Well, I guess there's a little bit of jamming going on. I mean, you've got 2 15G planets that are racing around each other. But you don't. I mean, there's the telltale static in the background from the background radiation of the nebula and these 2 ridiculous planets. But you're hearing nothing come back from Far Colony postulant. You're estimating it.
I'm going to send a message back to Deepnight telling them what we fucking found.
Okay. So Deepnight takes a much safer route around, mostly because the idea is that they're comparing their data to your data. And they come back with some interesting initial figures on comparing the data between your ship and theirs from this high-speed maneuver. And what comes out is that due to time dilation effects on calculations run, um, the perceived time will produce inaccuracies compared to the analysis carried out in the situation where all bodies are more or less at rest relative to one another. So there is a discrepancy between their data and your data. And so they are working on mathematical models to try and compensate for that, essentially for compensating gravitational and time dilation effects. Um, the crunch-worthy part of this is that once this is figured out, um, for doing high-speed, high-gravity passage into a system that has these kinds of problems, from this point forth, you'll gain a +2 to course calculations, so astrogation checks, but not to jump plots. So this is only if you're in system flying with maneuver drive by the seat of your pants. You'll get a +2 to calculations in high gravity and time dilation effects.
Well, that's pretty cool. That made it worth doing the experiment, right?
Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Will that count when you're like refueling and we start hitting those lower, more rough atmospheres?
It could, yeah.
That'd be a big boon to fucking Pappy.
Right? Yeah, doing gas giant operations can be a bitch.
+2 when fucking up.
So, but more importantly, if you are near, say, like a neutron star or, God forbid, a black hole, you get a +2 to piloting in those situations.
+2 for black hole. Ooh,
Right? You know,
Yeah.
the accretion
Well, I
disk
mean,
is one thing. It's the event horizon you want to
yeah,
avoid.
if we're going in a black hole, man, a +2 is definitely something we need to fucking be rules lawyering out. You know, Brady?
Somebody
Don't
write
forget
that
that
shit
shit.
down.
Yeah,
Make a note of that.
yeah.
So you're reporting back to Deepnight Revelation about this. I mean, they would. Yeah, they're reading it on their sensors. The captain's leaving it. Captain Belmont's leaving it up to you. But he is of Deepnight Revelation's comms officer is of the same opinion that this is a distress signal.
Well, I mean, I'm just doing shit. I'm hoping we're going to board the ship, but I mean, I don't know
We should.
if yeah, I don't know what Pappy or Sarda thinks.
Yeah, no, I think we need to rescue him.
I'm down to land and see what we can do.
All right.
Hell
so
yeah.
Pappy, make a piloting StarCraft plus Dex check to dock with this beast.
Is there like a big old hole we can just fly in?
Could we make it?
Kind of like the Magic School Bus, you know?
That's a really good question.
We did say dwarfs are regular ship. Does it have a
Yeah.
landing bay or anything like that?
That's a good question. Hey, look.
You know, right now the Magic School Bus could be driving around in your intestines and you wouldn't even know it.
I prefer not to think about it.
There's like a whole class in your colon. If
And I
So
would wonder why they chose me.
yeah, well, I just hope they don't drop their pop rocks or nothing. You know, that'd be a weird feeling. Get philosophical here in the Traveler game. You know. Oh, is this the ship?
What you are seeing, so this section, this entire
Holy cow!
front section here, is just completely sheared off. This area, as you pull up, so Pappy, did you make your piloting plus dex check?
That I did. Did it not?
I don't see it. There it is.
Did I forget? Did
There
I?
you go.
I forgot to press the button.
So
You did it
Pappy,
in your mind.
Pappy's kind of making a flyby. You see that this entire top portion of the ship is missing, just completely sheared off. Visually, this space here looks like it was a biosphere of some type. You see frozen, obviously damaged vegetable matter, like plants and whatnot, in this biosphere. That it looks like plants that have instantly frozen over and then were damaged from explosive decompression. And then in other sections, there's just nothing. Like whatever was covering this was missing. But so 1 square equals 50 tons. You're in a 200 ton.
Yeah.
Is this 200 tons? Yes, 200 tons. So yeah, you could, if Pappy wanted to set down in this big hole, he could. Alternately, I'm trying to find. There's got to be. How do they get out of this? Is my question. Da, da, da. Well, I don't know. Evidently, they just were born and grew in here because I don't see an airlock anywhere on this thing.
Mm.
There's got to be one, right? Let's.
14s.
You went?
Oh, they access the secondary hole. Is that where they get in from the secondary hole?
Maybe. I bet it is. Oh no, these actually go out to the pods. The 50,000 ton pods. There's 3 of those. So that's where those go.
Well, I mean, maybe they get into the pods.
So I mean, you could dock right here and set down and kind of use your lifters to secure your position. Then you would have to go out in do an EVA in vac suits. This is actually a closed door. A little green dot. If you want.
That sounds fun. That's a friendly reminder, everybody. When you go opening up doors and there's a pressure difference, sometimes things get violent. We're not using airlocks.
That's true.
So
That
be
is
sure that you take tethering precautions and think about what the fuck you're doing. This is your friendly warning.
that is true. I would say that probably this door here is actually an airlock. It is an iris valve style airlock.
Oh, well, that's not near as dangerous as just opening up things or poking holes.
So Pappy, make one more piloting plus dex check to land.
Got this, y'all. Hold on. Everybody, just relax. We're going to land nice and soft like.
Inside what used to be their bridge. Okay, so Pappy kind of comes into this what used to be a biosphere, and as he's coming down, there's a crunch, but nothing major. It's just one of the landing gear or one of the landing skids kind of hits at a odd angle and crunches down. Might have some problems with that particular lifter, but it's nothing major. Something that can be repaired in a couple of hours back on Revelation. I'm sure your deckhands are gonna love you guys. We just patched her up. you know. We will
Job security.
job security, right? Yes, those guys have the ultimate job security. We will break here for the night, and we will pick this up next week at 6 o'clock PST on Friday night.
Thanks. It's pretty fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Appreciate you all the
Yeah.
time piloting.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah,
You
good
did
job,
good.
you guys.
Yeah.
Some hair-raising events going around the spinning planets.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
exciting.
explore. Yeah, that's exciting. I like exploring weird shit. So this looks fun.
Yes, we shall have
Oh,
weird shit abounding for you.
Hell yeah.
Ghosts.
Yes, the ghosts.
Yeah.
All right.
Ghost and shit tacos.
All right, I will see you guys next week.
Take it
Good
easy.
night.
You too. Have a
See you
good night.
tomorrow.